No. Vince, all set.
It is 6 o'clock, so I'll call the meeting to order. This is the 17th meeting of the Valley Unified Board of Directors. I'll do roll call. Louis Dugal.
Here.
Gerard Castonguay.
Present.
Keith Jandro. Here. Tammy Cody.
Here.
Josh Desjardins.
Here.
Toby Jandro.
Here.
Robert Boyes is not here, but he's scheduled to be here soon. Rose McCory.
Here.
And Mr. Sibley will not be here tonight. I do not have any adjustments to the agenda, but I would like to welcome a new board member. If you remember last time we met, session 27 had member Jacob Terrio, and Jacob ended up selling his house in New Canada, moving to Fort Kent, and because of the move, he also had to vacate his seat on the SAD 27 board. So the SAD 27 board has nominated Mr. Keith Jandro. Keith is the sub-district 1 representative for SAD 27, represents the town of St. Francis, St. John Plantation, and part of Fort Kent. So welcome, Mr. Jandro.
Hello.
Welcome. Welcome to the show. We don't have any public, so I don't imagine we have any public participation. I do have an agenda item for nomination of a board chair. This was done at the, I believe, the 15th or 14th meeting of Valley Unified. At that time, Mr. Tom Kent was elected as the board chair, Mr. Sibley, the vice chair, and Mr. Desjardins, the treasurer. Since then, Mr. Kent has resigned from his seat on the Madawaska School Committee and subsequently for this board as well. And we've gone a meeting or two without a board chair. Although I'm perfectly comfortable running the meeting, it shouldn't be that way. So if the board wishes to entertain motions for a board chair, or if the board chooses to continue to table this item, it makes no difference to me, but I just wanted to put it out there because it is unresolved business.
Okay. Well, at this point, then, should it be the treasurer that presides over this meeting?
Yeah, I don't even know how it works. Yeah, I guess so. I've never seen it gone beyond the vice chair, so I didn't know. Hi, Robert. Sorry. That's all right. I heard you broke some laws speeding here, so we're gonna give you a break.
Only if you get caught, right?
Yeah, okay.
I nominate Tammy Cody for chair.
Rose nominates Tammy.
Second.
Gerard is second. Any discussion or other?
I don't know. I mean, obviously it's my first meeting here, but I've been part of a few board meetings, and I don't know, we've even opened up the meeting yet officially. So.
Because Josh didn't open it up?
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
So,
I mean, gotta make it official for the record.
yeah, so
Right.
I guess we can.
We're entertaining a motion, then we have to open up a discussion.
Yeah.
Yep, so I'll entertain a motion for a board chair. Rose has done it, second by Gerard. Any discussion? Seeing there's no discussion, all those in favor? All those opposed? And we go use the board chair. Now, do you want her to continue?
Oh, Tammy will be doing.
So we'll move to approve the 16th meeting of Valley Unified, which was held on September 21st. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
I move we approve.
Mr. Castonguay, I second by Rose McCoy. Any discussion on those minutes? All those in favor?
I wasn't present, so I'm gonna.
Looking for approval of the financial statements of the second quarter. Do I have a motion to approve the financial statements?
We accept the,
Mr. Castonguay, move. Do I have a second? Josh? Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? And then, I'll give you the floor.
Yeah, I only have a couple of updates specific to Valley Unified. The first one is, as you all know, the School Construction Subcommittee of the State Board of Education voted to not approve the extension of Valley Unified partners, and that subsequently went to the full state board, who also chose to not support it. Although I don't have anything official in writing, I'm waiting for the minutes of that meeting to become official, which will happen the next state board meeting. And I will share those minutes with you at that time. I did, however, receive a call from Commissioner Macon. It was actually a voicemail, and she just wanted to commend us on the work that went into trying to make this happen. And is hopeful that our Valley Unified efforts continue despite the loss of the school. And I messaged her back and thanking her for her support, and hopefully we can continue to work closely with the DOE moving forward. The other thing that I wanted to, did anybody have any questions or comments on that? Sorry. The only other thing I wanted to share is a bit of good news. If you look at our Valley Unified dashboard as of today, we are trending way low on active and positive cases. Right now, we only have 2 positive cases in all of Valley Unified. One at Dr. Levac and one at Wisdom Middle High School. So this is a good sign. If you look at the dashboards, regionally, Northern Maine Medical, Fish River Rural Health, UMFK, everything is trending downward. Hate to put a super positive spin on it, but if we're going to have some good news, let's celebrate that. All kids right now have the option to be in school in all of our schools 5 days a week. That is a win, no matter how you frame it. And as the father of a junior in high school, and her last in-school day was December 14. She's had 2 hybrid days since then. And this is her first full day back. We were celebrating as a family this morning for sure. So this is good. We hope that that our communities continue to support our school efforts, and everyone remembers that this requires the full community. It can't just be the schools looking to enforce what we do inside these walls. So really good numbers, and let's keep it that way. Valley Unified Administrator reports. Mr. Karen, did you want to start us off?
Sure.
Today?
So I left 2 documents in each of your seats. One is the second alternative schooling cumulative enrollment report. This is as of February 12th, the Friday before school vacation. And I've divided it into the different categories of alternative schooling that we provide in each of the school units that comprise the Valley Unified Educational Service Center. And you can see TOPS Academy, which is full-fledged alternative learning that always includes either CTE or community-based internships. We have a total enrollment of 12, 4 at the Fort Kent site, 8 at the St. John Valley Technology site. And then we have hybrid learning, which is part-time alternative schooling, can include CTE or a community-based internship, but that's not a requirement. Can also consist of half a day in the sending school and half a day in an alternative school setting. Total enrollment there is 25, 18 at the Fort Kent site, 7 at the St. John Valley Technology site. And then we have blended learning, which are career-focused courses that are accessible through anytime
anywhere access, and that are facilitated by a learning manager with whom the student meets on a regular basis as they progress through the course. We have a total enrollment of 35 in that program, and you can see that Madawaska High School continues to make the most significant use of that. One of the reasons is that they're using these as elective opportunities for their students. And then we have credit and standards recovery, and that's where we're just working with students who are typically enrolled in a CTE program, and for one morning or one afternoon a week, we will take them out of CTE and then work with them in a classroom to help them address standards and or credits that they're lacking in order to graduate on time. So right now we have a grand total enrollment of 85, but we do have 8 duplicates. Those are cases where we might have a student in either TOPS or hybrid learning who might also be doing a blended learning course. So we've actually to date served a total of 77 students from the 3 high schools through the alternative schooling program. And the longer document is actually a copy of a proposal that was submitted to both the University of Maine at Fort Kent and to Northern Maine Community College, addressing strategic priority 6 in the tri-district strategic plan. And that is to basically collaborate with both the University of Maine at Fort Kent and Northern Maine Community College to expand access to post-secondary education study through an early college model. And we have developed kind of a proposal that calls for 4 menu options through the University of Maine at Fort Kent. Rather than a cohort model, we would actually have 4 options, which would include experimentation for someone who just wants to dabble a little bit into post-secondary thinking they might be interested. Examination, someone who has a couple of career tracks in mind and wants to use this as a career decision-making opportunity. Expedition for the student who has a goal of earning some type of micro-credential before they graduate from high school, all the way up to elevation, which would serve students who have a goal of earning an associate degree at the same time that they earn a high school diploma. So the first 2 pages really kind of outline the pitch that we made to Northern Maine Community College and to University of Maine at Fort Kent to pursue this option with us. And with Northern Maine Community College, we'd be looking at developing an early college model that would allow students enrolled in programs at the St. John Valley Technology Center to be part of a CTE to Skilled Trades partnership between the Tech Center and Northern Maine Community College. And they would be able to earn up to a full semester toward either a certificate of study or an associate degree in identified programs of study at Northern Maine Community College. In the second 2 pages, which will be information that we will share with each of the respective school boards at separate meetings, because there are a lot of live links here, then we would really outline in detail what the Career Pathways Academies with the University of Maine at Fort Kent and the CTE to Skilled Trades Academies with Northern Maine Community College would look like. But we wanted this entity, the Valley Unified Board of Directors, to have the opportunity to see this first, as it is associated with the tri-district strategic plan and that cooperative work. And now we'll go back to the respective school boards and provide more detailed information. I am pleased to tell you that the cabinet at the University of Maine at Fort Kent has authorized this concept, and the chief administrative officers and academic officers of Northern Maine Community College have authorized this concept. It does not guarantee that everything in this proposal will happen just as we hope, but they are all enthused, willing, and interested to engage in a plenary process with the St. John Valley Technology Center, with the administrative team of Valley Unified, representatives of the administrative teams at each SAU. And they're interested in working together so that they don't duplicate services or compete with each other to make this happen, because they do see it as vitally important to the workforce development needs of our region, and also to reducing college debt for students from our region. And at Northern Maine Community College, this would be the first of its kind effort. And at University of Maine at Fort Kent, this would represent a departure from the single cohort model into a variety of different options. So we'd be paving some new ground. Toby?
On the blended learning, there's a learning manager.
Yes.
What's that?
A learning manager is an individual, it's an instructor who basically works with the student, meets with them periodically to monitor their progress, can respond to them through email, set up Zoom conferences with them to answer any questions that they might be having, help address any challenges that they might be having in their coursework, and then also monitors on a weekly basis their progress through established syllabi, and then a pacing guide that's available on the dashboard through our online platform. So it's basically, they're teaching students how to structure and manage their online learning experience. And they're doing a lot of the more high stakes kind of assessments. The students are doing it under the supervision of the learning facilitator.
Are they teachers?
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Yes, they are. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Any other questions?
Peter?
Yes.
Just a quick question. Is the tech center's health occupations working with the nursing program at UMFK?
They are right now. They, when they leave there, if they complete the first year of the program and they earn CNA certification as part of that, then they earn 2 articulated credits to the University of Maine Fort Kent. But right now, there is nothing more in place than that. You're welcome.
It was important that we show that, that with the Valley Unified School not coming to light, we still want to move forward with our strategic priorities. And partnering with UMFK and Northern Maine Community College is really important. I can, again, attest as the father of a student at university, and he started his 2nd semester and he's already a sophomore because of early college options he took in college, in high school. And the more kids that we can have benefiting that way, getting these credits at pennies to the dollar, it sets them ahead when they get to college.
The only expense associated with these courses are textbooks. 4 courses that have textbooks. Some of them don't. But that's the only expense. The tuition is covered through early college funds that are available to the Maine Community College system at Northern Maine Community College and to the University of Maine system at UMFK. And when you consider that right now, the average college debt carried by a post-secondary graduate in Maine is between $32,500 and $35,000, depending on which source you consult. That's the average debt in Maine right now. And the total cumulative college debt in the state of Maine, just the state of Maine, is approaching $6 billion per year. I mean, it's an incredible load. So if we can save them and also accelerate their entrance into the workforce, that's a win-win. Now, there's going to be a lot of moving parts and a lot of logistics. When you talk about earning an associate degree at the University of Maine at Fort Kent, There's going to be, some challenges that we're going to need to address. And in those cases, families may need to make a contribution, but it will still be significantly less than it otherwise would be. So everyone's committed to working with us. We just need to give them the green light. So this is your first look. It'll go back to each school unit, school board, or school committee, and then come back here for kind of a final endorsement.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Sharon?
I don't have as many gifts to offer. I hope you forgive me. So one of the goals was to personalize professional development. And because of COVID this year and the pandemic, there has obviously not been a lot of travel. So we came across this program called OTIS, which stands for Online Technology and Instructional Sessions. And it's really been a godsend. We have had approximately 422 courses that have been completed thus far, and we only received the program in December. The beauty of this program is that it is customized based on your learning needs. So ed techs can go in and work on something of interest and related to their job requirements. So various individuals can go in and get certifications. We've had several who have done Google 1 and Google 2 level certifications where they go and sit for a Google test. It meets the requirements for the Department of Education, and it's also it's personalized. So it's been a godsend. The funds used for this were individual schools use their Title 2A funds, which are designated specifically for professional development for teachers. So each school contributed toward their staff to pay for this. The top hits for classes have been remote learning, blended learning, and social emotional learning. Those seem to be the ones that people are looking at the most. So when we have our professional development days, this is always an option, and I can see the amount of courses being looked at and completed during those workshop days. You can see a high spike on those days. And I can monitor who goes in, how many classes they take, and how many certifications. So there's analytics at the administrative level. Another thing too is, for example, special education, they can create pathways within the program itself and assign classes to individuals that they feel would need some professional development in regards to that. So I also have been requesting, as part of our professional development, that more voice and choice. So when we have professional development, the mornings are dedicated to professional development that is in-house. So we have specialists within our 3 school districts that will present, and people will zoom in to those sessions, and they typically record those sessions, and we house them on our PD website so that if you are unable to make the session for whatever reason, or you need a review, they're always accessible. So we're creating an archive of all of our professional development that we curate within our own school district. So that also is something that is new. And to come back to OTIS, one of the things that we can do is we can build our own content. So one of the things that I do year to year is new teacher orientation, and it's very repetitive. It's a one day, just get all of this information and expect these new teachers to absorb it. So we can create this new teacher orientation. We can house it in the OTIS site. They can go through it at their own pace, and then when they would need time to review it, they can go back and look at those resources. So we can build our own content within OTIS in itself. Data analysis is so yeah, they do have live sessions, and you can see that's the professional development site that I'm working on. You can see archive there under workshops. You can see the workshop days we have. So when you click on that, when you click on January 15, you can see all the workshops, integrating STAR and Freckle and Power Standards, my presentation on OTIS, nuts and bolts of hybrid learning, Freckle, those are all the things, and people can log in and get certificates of attendance. So this is something that I'm building as we go along. In regards to data analysis, our assessment tool for data is STAR. And because of the remote, where we were at just recently with remote, they did a STAR test. All the schools have done STAR testing in the fall. We were unable to do STAR testing last spring. And so it was really hard to see if we had any regression in learning during that time period. So some have done some testing in this winter, and some are continuing to do the testing right now. I've created a template with a spreadsheet where I can look and analyze the data. My approach is looking at big data. Teachers are looking at more specific data regarding the students within their class and targeting instructions based on that. But I like to look at big data and look at trends. One of the schools that I've observed has poor performance in ELA in regards to informational text. And so breaking down informational text into smaller components, what does that mean, and how can we as a collective group of teachers target that and work with our students that way too? So that's one of the things I've been working at. I have not been able to curate the data because we're still waiting for some of that to come in. Another thing in terms of data analysis, I sent out surveys to parents, teachers, and students recently, making comparisons regarding our spring remote learning and our current remote learning that we did this winter, and seeing if the changes that we implemented based on the first survey had an impact. And overall, there was a huge improvement in terms of satisfaction in the delivery of content. The parents were overwhelmingly pleased, rating from a 4 to a 5, and improved from the springtime, and students also expressed that as well. So the changes that we made, which really included coming to one platform, which included Google Classroom, has made a huge change. Recording the sessions, we still need some work in that area, but that also has made a big difference, and requiring attendance has been a game changer. And so the teachers are feeling less overwhelmed, and the students are also feeling that they're getting more out of the remote session. So the survey data kind of justified the changes that we made were good, but it also pointed out areas that we would probably need to continue to improve upon in the future, which focus more on the recorded sessions. And also, if you can see the latter part, that pre-K to 2 range still continues to be a concern in regards to the one-on-one help that parents need to deliver content outside of those Zoom sessions. It's just not practical for them, for some of them. Curriculum development and alignment, that's something that is continually ongoing. One of the things that I'm working on, and I'm almost complete, is doing a crosswalk of all the different high schools with the course requirements. So I'm taking grade 9 ELA in Madawaska, Wisdom, and in Fort Kent, and I'm doing a crosswalk of comparison as to what standards are covered in what school. And from that, we are working on pulling the data, the rubrics that were part of Empower. So all the work that we did in the last few years of finding the standards, unpacking the standards, identifying the knowledge that's needed for those standards, taking those and migrating them into Google folders, because now we're all using Google Classroom. So we're essentially using Empower, we're using Google Classroom when we're reporting out in PowerSchool. So you can see that it's a lot of work for teachers. So now that we're all immersed in Google Classroom, I'm taking all those rubrics, and I'm, not myself, Leslie actually Marquis is doing that, and putting them into folders. I'm taking the standards that we've all identified common between the 3 schools, and I'm uploading them with the descriptors into PowerSchool, with the intent that what we do in Google Classroom can easily merge with a Google Chrome extension into PowerSchool, decreasing the amount of work for teachers in terms of reporting, but also in my mind in decreasing the potential for inaccuracies in reporting. So that's one of the goals by the end of this year I plan to have in place. And I think that's all I have. So there's a lot going on. in regards to curriculum and professional development, but everything is just really moving in a very positive direction right now. Any questions? Did I just what did she say? I'm sorry.
Thank you, Sharon.
It's a lot of work, Sharon, thank you. Okay, we'll move to items of old business. We're looking at second read of policy PDA, board organizational meeting.
This was tabled last meeting. I was supposed to remove the election of secretary. We decided that Valley Unified admin would handle the secretary role. So it's been updated to reflect that we would elect a chair, vice chair, and treasurer, and not a secretary. So that's the change.
Do we need a motion for this one?
Yeah.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second. Is that you, Toby?
Yep.
Toby and Rose. Any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Move to new business, approval of Empower Data Entry and Management stipend.
So this was a stipend position that we had posted back in September, and it came about due to the fact that, as Sharon just presented to you, there's a lot of work going into curriculum, and Peter and Sharon don't have administrative secretaries. They don't have assistants to help them with a lot of additional work that goes into what they do. So in conversations with the admin team to try to get us through the year with all of the moving parts and moving curriculum from Empower to Google Classroom and all that entails, we wrote this contracted service, which is essentially a stipend, looking for somebody in our schools who has not only knowledge of Empower, but strong technology skills and preferably Google certified so they can navigate Google as well. And we had one applicant who fit perfectly, as Leslie mentioned a while ago, Leslie Marquis. She is a high school science teacher at CHS, and just really invested. She's been a leadership team person since we began PBE, so she's really well versed in all of this. Sharon, did you want to just
Yeah. So in regards to these standards, to be honest with you, I've been working in Empower for at least 3 years, creating it's a boatload of work. There's hundreds of standards. So physically for me to do it, in addition to the work that I'm doing, I could do it, but it would delay this whole process by at least a full year. So if we want to get the ball moving and rolling in the fall and have everything in place that we need, we just needed some help to do that. And also, I think it's just really good practice to show and have someone else who can navigate the system. I hate to think that someone would be held hostage by the fact that I'm the only one that really knows how to maneuver in this program and how to create things. So I think also part of it is training another individual and having the skill set to be able to work within Empower is critical.
And Sharon, we were looking at just this year to get.
It's just this year. It's not a carry-on position. She knows that as well. It's going to be done as soon as she's done.
So we haven't had a meeting since September. So this was never taken to you for approval, although it is a stipend for Valley Unified. So it couldn't have been approved by each individual SAU. It really should be approved by you because it's shared. It's a shared service. So I apologize that it didn't come to you sooner. And we're ready to respond. However, but Leslie has done almost half years of work now, so is entitled to at least half this stipend. But I would hope that you would allow it to go for the full year to get us to where we need to.
Do I have a motion? Mr. Dondro and Mr. Custodio. Any further discussion?
I guess my question then is, this date's 2021 and 22. Are we approving the rest of this current year, full year?
Oh, you know what? Where are you looking? Sorry.
Shared services.
Oh, that's the next agenda item.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
This one is for the 2020-21 school year.
Gotcha.
I guess I mean, going forward, is it generally going to be this board's, I guess, job to approve this type of contracting? Like, I know we met in September, but we met like at the 21st or 19th or something. I mean, because we don't really have rules yet.
Yeah.
We're not really put together in a way that we know what our province is and what it isn't. So, I mean, going forward, I'm assuming that when they do this contract type thing, it's going to be up to this board to make the decision as to whether or not to hire.
I think the way that I view it is I would hope that this board would make recommendations for shared services, and then you take it back to your individual boards for support. Because if your board doesn't support, a shared superintendent, for example, then that we can't move forward without all entities agreeing to that. So I guess it would have to be a two-check thing when it deals with Valley Unified, where it should come here for approval, but then approved at the other boards, I guess. Because you are responsible for the VU budget, and so this stipend would come out of the VU budget. So it's really under your jurisdiction, because it's, you approve that budget. Mr. Dugal.
Is there any of this stipend that would be covered by, is it going to be the same cost sharing as it would be for regular staffing, or is this something different through the VU process with the state itself? Like, are we going to get more state money for this stipend than what we normally would for a teacher that's not part of that?
No, Lucy, I don't know if you want to.
There's no additional funding from the Department of Education for such a stipend.
And for us, I mean, we did, we approved the VU budget last year before COVID hit the fan. So we have, we have professional development money that Giselle, Lucy, and I have not gone anywhere. There are funds that we haven't used because we've just been socially distanced and Zooming everything.
So what you're saying is there's minimal impact on budget.
Exactly.
In the first line of your job summary, it says, due to school changes due to COVID, I mean, does this fall under COVID expense? That you're relating it to?
We probably could stretch it, Robert, but then it becomes difficult to sell it with a shared service, because those applications are separate. We don't have a VU application for. So we would have to essentially, if we were going to look at it, we'd have to say, 50% of this position under 27, 30% under Madawaska, and separate it that way. Not unthinkable, but messy. For $5,000, it's messy. Yeah.
I guess my only other question then would be, how sustainable is it to expect a full-time teacher to handle the extra workload?
Yeah. And I don't know if you have those conversations with Leslie. This is outside of her work hours.
Obviously, she's a go-getter, right?
Yeah.
But
She does it over Christmas break, she did it over February break, she's doing it over April break. Any free time, she doesn't do any of that work during school day at all.
And she stepped down from the leadership team this year. She's allowed somebody else. So she's already freed up some time in her schedule because she's not part of the leadership team.
Any other further questions, comments, concerns? We have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor? We'll move to shared services for the school year 2021 to 22.
And this isn't so much, it is under new business, but I don't expect this board to act upon it because I know you're going to have to go back to your individual boards, and each of you has a board meeting between now and the next Valley Unified board meeting. So you will be meeting with your individual boards. But these are the shared services that Valley Unified Education Service Center offers right now. And I'm not going to go through every one individually. I will highlight a couple. I will highlight that your superintendent services does come with a 50% subsidy, if you will, from the DOE that covers 50% of the superintendent's salary and benefits because you are part of this arrangement. Same thing with your Unified Power School, your student information service. That cost is reimbursed by the DOE as well. So is your financial and employee staff service, Tyler Technology, and your Unified Time Clock. These things are all reimbursed by the state because you are part of this. In addition to that, in your ED 279, and we'll show your individual boards this next meeting, you get a small education service center bonus on your ED 279 because you are part of an education service center. Some of your districts, I'll be very honest, have benefited more from these services than others. Some of your districts haven't had the level of these services because most of them were performed by one or two individuals. I can say that if I was to be tasked with doing the role of the assistant superintendent, the finance director, the innovative programs director, I couldn't do all of those things. God bless any superintendent that can, but I couldn't. So some of you have benefited from these services because you didn't have them, and now you get the benefit of it. And I can only use myself for example. You know, I literally take the interlocal agreement, the cost share, and I use that as my template for how to serve your districts. So whereas SAD 27, the cost share is 50%. My time spent on SAD 27 work is 50% in the 27 office because that's how I feel is best to justify. 30% in the Madawaska office and about 50 to 20% in the 33 office. But when I'm doing those work, I'm doing the work of all three at the same time because generally a school system, the work of one school system is generally the same in all. There are some slight differences, but you know, if we're planning for a pandemic, it's best to plan for all three at the same time than to, you know, kind of personalize it. So I know that when we're all doing our shared work, we're doing the same thing. Some of your districts, though, have benefited in cost savings because you offered a lot of these services at your district's full cost, and now you have a shared cost for that. I can tell you that just the superintendent position alone is probably the least amount of money any of your districts have ever spent on a superintendent in the history of having a superintendent because 50% to the DOE and then cost share between the three of you. It's a bargain at that. And you move on with the other shared services as well. We've built a lot. As you can see from these documents, we've built a lot in a short amount of time. And it feels like we have the resources of a big district, but we're small districts who are unified together so we can have them. And it's really nice to be able to speak with colleagues around Aroostook County and the state for that matter, and brag about the services we have because of a shared agreement between the three. I would, you know, put us in line with the services that Presque Isle has because the three of us together are about the size of Presque Isle. So, you know, it kind of falls along the same lines, which is wonderful that we can do that through this service. My hope and my prayer is that we advocate for these level of services to remain as is or as close to as possible as we look forward. Now, we'll share a preliminary look at the budget here. Our goal here is not to bring budget increases that now you're looking at, you know, we're trying to get you to support something that no longer makes sense. You know, small increases make sense because, you know, things do cost a little bit more from year to year. But just to, you know, put shared services down just because we think it should be, and then increasing budgets, it's not our goal. And as we shared in the future, we know that some of these shared services can reduce, especially with regards to staffing. If we have retirements, we can do so through attrition and try to absorb the work that somebody else is doing, either through a part-time position or we can look to roll that work in. But a lot of the groundwork is still being done right now, where we're trying to, you know, develop a lot of these concepts. So my hope, this will be presented to each your individual boards because, as you know, we have big decisions to make about Value Unified and the shared services. And I'm hoping that each board can listen to me like you are today, and then hopefully listen to you as Value Unified board members advocate for why this is really important that we continue this way. And that's my speech.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions?
So we'll move to interlocal agreement to review sections 1 through 10.
And this exercise is simply, I think, should be done regularly. I think, you know, an agreement is only as good as how the partners feel about it. And we recognize that in any agreement, times change, and so must or so shall the agreement, in order for things to remain something that we all can participate in. So I thought it'd be great to take a look at some sections of the interlocal agreement today, just sections 1 through 10, and make note of any questions or concerns that we have. Not to change them today, obviously, you know, there's got to be a lot more work into changing things, but at least have the conversation and listen to each of the partners about what's currently palatable and what's not in the interlocal agreement. So if it's all right with you, I'd just like to go through items 1 through 10 and listen any concerns that you may have about any of those. Is that okay? We'll start with number 1, formation. Subject to the approval conditions set forth in section 25, the parties hereby form a school management leadership center known as a regional service center under the authority of, and that's the law that it was established. Does anyone have an issue with item 1? And I know we're called an education service center now, but I believe the law still says regional service center. So we'll stick with what the law says. Item 2, name. The name of the school management and leadership center form pursuant to this agreement shall be the Value Unified Education Service Center here in Regional Service Center. Got a great name and a great logo. So everybody okay with that? Number 3, purposes. The purpose of the Regional Service Center shall be to enhance student learning opportunities and staff development, and to achieve greater efficiencies and cost savings through cooperative regional initiatives and programs. Everybody all right with that? Administrative entity, the Regional Service Center shall be a school management and leadership center within the meaning of the law. a political subdivision within the meaning of that law, a quasi-municipal cooperation within the meaning of that law, and a tax-exempt governmental entity for the purposes of that. The board of directors is authorized to make any filings and take any other necessary actions to implement the provisions of this section 4. Good. The term of this interlocal agreement shall be 25 years commencing July 1, 2018 and ending June 30th, 2043. The initial term subject to extension as follows. The term of this agreement shall be automatically extended for an additional 10 years, 10 fiscal years on February 1, 2043, and on February 1 of each subsequent decennial year, each a renewal term, and together with the initial term, unless by February 1 in any year on or thereafter 2042, the board of directors votes in favor of dissolution of and the regional service center is dissolved pursuant to section 18B as of June 30 of the subsequent fiscal year.
I think this is something that's come up in our board. If I remember correctly, I mean, part of the reason for wanting such a long term, there was talking about debt service around the new construction.
Yep.
Where there's no debt service because there's no construction. 25-year marriage. Seems like it'd be better if we all had the opportunity to decide whether or not we wanted to stay and not be just locked in for a number of years indefinitely.
Yeah.
Now the debt service issue is gone.
So I made note of that. Thank you, Toby. Anybody else on that? Okay, the fiscal year of the Regional Service Center shall begin on July 1 and end on June 30th. The same fiscal year as our school departments, school districts. Members, the initial members of the Regional Service Center shall be those parties to this agreement whose voters approve the formation of the Regional Service Center pursuant to Section 25. Other school administrative units may become members pursuant to the requirements of 13A, new members. Item number 8, governing body. The Regional Service Center shall be governed by a board of directors composed of 3 persons selected from and appointed by each member's governing board. Directors shall serve 3-year terms and may be reappointed on a 3-year basis thereafter. This was amended last year. Before that, it had administrative reps, if you remember, and we chose to change that to 3 appointed board members.
We know that this whole section is something that we've discussed at length, so.
Yeah.
I know it's broken down through A through H, but it's all kind of tied together into one big mass of how we elect and how we vote.
Right.
So I think that that's something that SAB 27 is interested in talking.
This item A, Toby, specific to the number of members.
Yeah, well, going down, that's how we calculate votes in the entire thing. I think anything moves on the top, the whole thing moves with it.
Okay.
I don't think we can move one thing and not have everything else fall.
Right. So I made a note that the governing body may be something we need to discuss in the future, and I won't go through items B through H if that's okay. It's all under governing body. Item 9, functions, programs, and services. The Regional Service Center may make available the following functions, programs, and services. I made the suggestion that perhaps we may want to remove some of these, and I did suggest possibly this one, item A, Regional Integrated Consolidated Secondary School Incubator, serve as the incubator for planning and startup functions, programs, and services related to the establishment of a Regional Integrated Consolidated Secondary School, because that is specific to said school. I don't know that it needs to be there. I don't know that we need to remove it. There may be another one that comes up in the future, but I just made note of that. Item B, regional superintendent and central office services provide shared grade K to 12 superintendent services and related central office functions, programs, and services. And then that also dives into shared administrative personnel may include, so you have superintendent, assistant superintendent, CFO, curriculum coordinator, so on and so forth. The next item is shared central office services without limitation, the superintendent, system administration, transportation, special education. So it's just an a la carte of central office services that can be included. And then administrative personnel shall divide their time between the members, which is what goes on now. Item C.
Then before we move on.
Yep.
Should we maybe amend item B to state which ones we currently share?
Instead of what,
And then move on to the next paragraph and potentially share the following services.
okay.
Oh, but that raises an issue, Keith. I mean, we're talking about this, the list of what we do share that we were just looking at, right here.
Yep.
Like, I guess it's not clear to me from reading this, what we have to share and what we don't have to share. And I think that we should clarify that, because I'm thinking about some of the things we do share and some things we don't share, and I'm not really sure which things are necessary and which things are optional. So before we go and move everything into a possibly absolute category, we at first delineate what level of control any individual district has on what we decide to share and what we don't decide to share.
Yeah, and I think, unless somebody else interprets this differently, I think shared services are anything that you guys approve or anything you guys approve on. I don't know if there is a thou shalt, thou must share. The only one that I'm thinking maybe one of the musts is you have to have an executive director. That's part of the bylaws of having, so that's one that you. Now, your executive director does not need to be your superintendent. Those do not need to be the same thing. But if you don't do that, then you don't get the benefit of the 50% subsidy from the DOE. I'll have to look a little bit more about what's mandated and not. But the way I read this is that because the language says may include in all of these, you may include them or you may not.
Okay. I read it and I couldn't figure out exactly.
Is that how you?
Yeah, these are just options.
Yep.
And I think originally, was there not caveat that you had to have
We have to have at least two
of the shared
of
services from
three
certain-
categories.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't know, once you're established, if you have to keep those. I can inquire about that. If there's still a.
But I think the language here which says may include came from the law. And personally, I think it's good to always have options. Gives you ideas of what you can share.
What we could do, in Keith's suggestion, is maybe have an appendix that always lists our current services. So we always have up-to-date current services in an appendix.
Keep this as is, just as an option of what we can.
Yep.
Share.
Yep. And then I had mentioned in my notes, perhaps item C and item D, which were specific to the secondary school and the transportation of that secondary school. Perhaps those do not need to be there. Again, we can leave them or not, but they are specific to that secondary school. Item E is other regional services. Any other regional functions, programs, or services may be authorized by law to approve. So that falls there. Oh, a regional service center that does not provide at least two functions, programs, and services in at least two of the categories of services set forth may lose its eligibility for direct state funding. So there it is. We have to keep two in two of the categories. And I don't recall the category size. One of them is administrative services, another one is transportation and facilities. I can't remember all of them.
Do we have those for our board meetings?
Yep.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Then number 10, administration, the board of directors shall elect an executive director by a vote of 7 tenths of the full membership of the board of directors, who may be designated by the board to serve as superintendent of schools to any member purchasing shared superintendent services from the regional service center pursuant to paragraph 9. It is contemplated by the parties that for the initial fiscal year of operation, the superintendent of schools of each member will serve as the executive director on a shared basis. The executive director shall also, and there are the functions of your executive director. So what I have from items 1 through 10, I've made a note on item number 5, the term of the agreement. Now that there's no debt service. I've also made a note on number 8, the governing body and everything under governing body. And I've made a note for number 9A, C, and D, because those are all specific to the regional school or the transportation of the regional school. And I made a note on item B for number 9 that an appendix of current shared services can be attached. And then I also have a note to bring the language of the 2 functions and programs to each board so that they're aware of what those programs are. Is there anything else for items 1 through 10?
In all of the documents, I think we just need to fix the VUESC, call it the Education Service Center instead of,
Yep.
so just an all change.
Instead of regional?
Yep.
So I will take this to each of your individual boards with the notes that we made here today for further discussion. Is that fair? Okay, thank you.
And we will move to preliminary budget discussion.
Preliminary budget discussion. Lucy, would you like to drag this talk?
Is it new?
What you have in front of you is this year's preliminary projections of where this looking like we're going to end up. So they're by cost center. So the very first section is your Board of Education section for this board. If we keep going the way we are, and quarter 4 is usually where we finalize a lot of the invoices and a lot of the reconciling our shared services amongst each district and whatnot. That's why quarter 4 has more expenses in it. So quarter 1, quarter 2, you've already seen those reports. The second one is included in your report tonight. Quarter 3 ends at the end of March, and quarter 4 ends at the end of June. So in the Board of Education section, it looks like we're going to have a surplus of about 26,000, which the majority of which is the legal services. They'll likely be more expenses, but right now I don't know exactly what they are for the next 2 quarters. And the miscellaneous and school fees, we haven't traveled anywhere. We haven't done any. The pandemic kind of threw a wrench in anything that we had planned for a year anyway. So this is where we're going to end up in that section. Executive administration is Ben, Giselle, and Peter's salaries and benefits and the operation of their offices and travel and whatnot. And in that section, the surplus is obviously in the travel ribbon board. So we're looking like, and miscellaneous, we're looking like we're going to have a surplus of about 12,000 in that section. Central offices is my salaries and benefits. This is also where you're going to find the financial system and the time clock system, and the time clock system and the financial system are actually going to cost us a little more because we've incorporated our earned paid leave in with our financial and time clock system, we have to keep track of all the hours that anybody spends over and above. Anybody that's not salary, we have to keep track of hours. So we're actually using our financial system and we're tracking if a teacher tutors, if an ed tech tutors, anybody who works hourly, our coaches, we're actually getting them to clock in and we're keeping track of the hours that way. That way, if the Department of Labor comes and says, have you implemented the earned paid leave? How are you keeping track of the hours to make sure that you're allocating enough leave for the hours that they work? We have the information that we need. So obviously, each person that we add to that system will cost us a little bit more, but that cost is reimbursed to us by the subsidy that we receive by the Department of Ed. So I'm going to use it and they're going to reimburse. So that section looks like we're going to fairly break even. We're a small loss of about 1,200. And the next one, the student transportation, this is the expenses for the Valley Unified van. We also have any expenses for the Valley Unified, the transit bus. We had a small amount there. We didn't spend anything. We parked it and we haven't really used it. We are going to have some expenses for the van. And then food services, that is Melanie, our food service director, her salaries and benefits and her small operations for her office. So in total this year, it looks like we're going to have a surplus of about 40,000. I will have to add the stipend for Leslie, but that shouldn't be much. We did have a surplus last year, 1920. I believe it was about 25,000. So we'll be able to apply some of that to next year. At the end of the year, at the bottom part on the second page, you'll see our revenues. So the only revenues that come into this level is the 3 districts contributing to the board, and then the subsidy received from the Department of Education. So in total, it looks like we're going to have about a 40,000 surplus that we can apply to next year's level. What we don't know is what our legal services are going to cost again next year. If we're going to touch the interlocal agreement, I assume that we're going to want to review it by the 3 levels of legal advice. And I recommend leaving it the legal services as is right now. Even if we leave everything as is, increase salaries and benefits by a little, increase our financial services by a little, we have the carry forward to apply towards it. So I'm thinking we can bring in the budget and the cost share pretty much even to what we're doing now.
So without knowing specifically which cost sharing we're going to do and which shared services, the best we can do is show you last year's budget, the projection for this year, and as Lucy said, worst case scenario, we have what's looking like a flat budget for Valley Unified if we continue with the current shared services.
I've reached out to the Department of Education to find out what their level of contribution is going to be for this current year, and they haven't identified that yet, but she said it'll be coming out very soon.
Any questions? All right, thank you, Lucy. Seeing none, I need a motion to adjourn. Joel and Gerard Stonegate. All those in favor?
Our next meeting is Monday, March 15, and that will be at Fort Kent Community High School, the library there. So we'll see you all together on March 15. Like I said, we each have a board meeting between our individual boards.
Can you send out a calendar?
I shall. Thank you all. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Evening, not weekend.
Oh, I heard weekend. Wait a minute.
I sent you.
Wow, I'm all over that.
Dress for winter.
We have one.
I got everything over here.
You can hold on to it like
There's nothing on there.
you know what?
I don't want to misplace it.
Every meeting, I have to make new ones, new colors, because we get a new board member.
No, nothing, that's why I checked. Yes, there's a fourth one. There's a fourth one. You're all together.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, you just don't know. Yeah.
Oh, Robert.
Thank you for everything you do. Much appreciated.